Although it is now 9 o'clock. Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm well, thank you.
That is fantastic. Are we going to be hearing from you a little later?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love
She's
that.
our first presenter.
Yes, I thought I recognized from I don't know, social media or something. I thought I recognized. Let's see. We're of course getting the chairs out of the basement, correct?
Yeah.
So we have quite a crew here this morning. I'm Eric Rins-Whitmore. I'm one of the organizers. I'm just going to kind of run through it. I don't know that we're necessarily. We will need to do the slides for in a minute, or at least one slide when we do the check-in.
I got you.
Yeah. So first of all, welcome to 1 Million Cups. 1 Million Cups is a program from the Kauffman Foundation that is independently organized by volunteers in over 100 countries. 100 locations, 182 locations around the United States of America. There's another similar kind of program that's taking place around the world. It's I think still launching, called Startup Huddle. Startup Huddle is the version. Kauffman Foundation, their funding keeps them in the United States, but they have some other programs that are happening or they're working with around the world.
You guys online see our slide deck?
And should I stand over
Yes.
here? Maybe I should stand over close to where people can see me online as well. So what it is it's an opportunity on a weekly basis to hear from local and entrepreneurs from wherever. Oh, I've got one of these. This is fantastic.
It may not work until I click it, but
All right.
awesome.
It's an opportunity for communities to hear from entrepreneurs, both locally and nationally, about who they are, why they started a company, how that company operates, and really to create the conditions, create an opportunity to have a conversation. Now, what are the challenges that the entrepreneur is facing? Are there opportunities that the business has to grow? What we try to do is we try to create a friendly environment where folks can learn more about the person and their company, and to have a discussion and ideally find whether it's resources or suggestions or something else that helps that entrepreneur move forward. A different way of saying it is that it lowers the barrier of access to education around entrepreneurship and access to those resources. Let's see. Yeah, it's a national and local mission. Let's see. Highlight the uniqueness and value proposition to our local startup community. I'm just going to speed through these. You'll notice that we are the only location here in New Mexico. How many people here are here from Gallup today? All right. Is there anybody here who's not from the Albuquerque, Santa Fe area and also from the US? Excellent, excellent. So we're the only location in New Mexico, but as I mentioned, there's close to 200 other locations around the country. A couple different things I'll mention before we move on with this is we're just talking about, yes, right there, talking about the difference between pitches and presentations. Some places have a lot of pitch events. Pitch events have some really good, valuable things that folks can get out of them. Sometimes that's money, sometimes that's a new board member, something else. But oftentimes what we find here, what we want to do with this is we want to create something that's really a friendly environment, have a conversation where the entrepreneur themselves can be a little vulnerable, to say, I'm really struggling with this. Something that folks don't always feel comfortable if they're talking to an investor about. So that's one of the things that we do. Networking takes a lot of different forms. What we really try to do is we try to encourage folks to make real, authentic connections. So it's not about how many business cards or something that you can hand off to each other, but it's really about getting the chance to really remember something about a person, maybe contribute to their path, or have them do the same for you. It's run for the community, by the community, mentioned that, and we try to be radically and intentionally inclusive. So part of making this a somewhat friendly environment, hopefully it's been friendly so far. Making this somewhat of a friendly, easy environment to get into, is to make sure that folks feel comfortable, they feel welcomed, and that they feel that they're part of a community. Let's see. I lost my thing.
It's because I clicked.
I know. I'm not going to go through our whole local spiel, but basically the main question we ask is, what can our community do to help you? You'll hear us mention that a time or two, and that's really what we're looking for. And it's sort of that, servant leadership, or it's that give first attitude where we're really looking to see what is it we can provide. So you won't hear, ideally, you won't hear people sort of, saying, buy from me. This isn't a hard sales pitch of any kind. What it is somebody's asking a really interesting question and you say to yourself, oh, I want to talk to that person because I think they have, whether you're the presenter or not, because it sounds like they have some insights into what it is that I'm doing that I might be able to make use of. Let's see, it's easy to apply to present. If you simply visit 1MCABQ.com, that'll provide more information about 1 Million Cups around the country. And it also provides an opportunity for you to apply to present here in Albuquerque. Let's see. Oh, I'm part of a team. It's so good to be part of a team. So you'll notice on the slide, a couple of people are here in the house. We're down to like half strength here today. But the important thing is that we've got the most powerful people. Just kidding. So, so Paul's out and about, making good things happen. But of course, we've got Lisa Adkins, who's really running the show. She's the lead organizer. Yeah, exactly. I love it. Fantastic. I'm down there. Yes, let's see. I'm also up here. We've got Adam, who's not joining us in person here today, but we've also got Sonia Dewing right over there, one of our co-organizers, making things happen in Albuquerque. We're always looking for new folks to help. Not even if you want to join the team, that's fantastic. We'd be glad to talk to you about that. If you're interested in helping out, we had a couple of helpers this morning to get mugs out on the table and put chairs where we needed to have them. So we're always looking for a little bit of help because it really helps lift, lift everybody up. All right. Can't do it without, this would be really tough to do without a venue. I'm not sure if you've noticed that. It'd be really tough to do without electricity and, being indoors. Jason Collin photography. Jason's not here this morning in the house, but sometimes you'll see some excellent photos of different presenters, and that's pretty much all he's doing, more than organized. Got Miriam in the front row. She will most likely ask a question or two, and you will get to know some of the value that she brings by asking those, not impertinent, but those very valuable, sometimes pointed questions. Nuventum Custom Software. I know we're worried about the number of donuts back there, but I think if we all work together, we can optimize the donut intake this morning. We're really thankful to Nuventum Custom Software and to US Capital. Did you know that New Mexico is the 16th ranked place in the United States for venture capital funding? It's, sometimes we worry that we're less than some other places, and in some ways we are. But in terms of access to venture capital, I don't know what you're talking about. no one should. But 16th is actually pretty good when you look at different states that have these massive tech hubs and they have, one or two of these major cities. We don't really have, we don't have a city that's more than 1 million people. So the fact that we're 16th in level of venture capital is actually a really good thing. We're batting above our weight, or hitting above our weight. All right. Thanks for joining us. I think I skipped by the time to check in things. Is there another one at the end?
No.
All right.
Has everyone checked in?
Let's
you
see.
guys know that you need to check in?
So we have some excellent. We've got a flyer here. If you have a cell phone, you have one of those handy devices in your pocket, you can take a picture and that will help you check in. How many people?
Also go to 1MCABQ.
Yeah, that'll work too.
Fill the form.
I'm not sure. Do we have anybody in the audience who's actually won who has earned? Excellent. There are these. I realize if you're just visiting for one time, you're not going to be eligible for one of these handy dandy notebooks and pens that Miriam is modeling from the front row.
But still check in.
But still check in. Yeah, it helps us know, number of folks in the room. I have spent way too long up here and I'm starting to feel a little nervous.
All right.
So I would like to hand off. Are you introducing our speaker this morning? Would you like this dongle, whatever thingy you do?
I'll take it.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, she's just gonna switch up the presentations here. Well, I'm excited because I think this is the perfect morning to talk about language. And Dr. Maria Gonzalez is going to talk to us about language immersion and her journey to get to where she is now. And come on up. Go back. Okay, so you just hit that forward button and it goes to the next slide. Oh, is she gonna do it for you?
No, I can.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, no
Doing
worries.
two things at one time.
No
worries.
It's a problem.
All right.
Good morning, everyone. Buenos días, bienvenidos, Ohio. Is that right? Okay. Thank you for the invitation to do this presentation. And I'm here, my name is Maria Dolores Gonzalez, and I'm here to tell you about my business. And it is Spanish Bilingual Strategies Language Institute. And we offer Spanish immersion retreats and in-person workshops. I am a retired professor from the Spanish and Portuguese department at the University of New Mexico. And when I retired, I did what most retirees do. They sit around for a few years deciding what they're going to do in the next chapter of their life. And I did the same. I had a dream that I put on the back burner when I started my doctorate studies. And that was that I wanted to take Spanish into the community. I knew that a lot of individuals didn't have time to sign up for semester-long classes or maybe travel to Spanish-speaking countries. But I also knew that this dream had to do with my own intergenerational healing process. At 6 years old, my first language was Spanish. My mother tongue was Spanish. My generation, as well as my parents' generation, experienced corporal punishment in the classrooms due to the English-only policies in classrooms that was established in 1912 after statehood. And you were not allowed to speak Spanish, or if Spanish slipped out of your mouth on the playground or in the classroom, you would be punished. That was very difficult for a 6-year-old. And at that time, I put my Spanish away in a little nicho in my heart, and I carried it with me. At the age of 26, I began my journey on taking back my mother tongue, which was Spanish. Once I decided that I was going to establish the Language Institute that I had dreamed about, I took classes at Westcor. And of course, that was extremely healthy. Being an academic and then going into the business world, it was, changing hats or personas. I did my research, talking to people to find out what their attitude was about having an immersion program in their own backyard, right here in New Mexico, if they didn't have to travel to Mexico or Spanish-speaking countries. I also investigated to see how many language institutes existed in New Mexico and Albuquerque in the United States. And I found some. The only difference between those language institutes and mine was that theirs were day classes. And mine are immersion, where you come, you stay for 5 days, you're together with a group for day and night, and you live, have real life classes. Once a business plan was done, then it was finding the location, the right location. And I knew that it had to be in northern New Mexico. That is where the language arrived, and that's where we've been speaking of for 420 years in the state of New Mexico. A lot of people don't realize that. Sadly, we have lost. The language that my parents spoke or my grandparents spoke is fairly, it's lost, it's gone. It doesn't mean that there's no Spanish. We're still getting the influx of immigrants or bringing Spanish, which is a good thing. To get my program, I found Southern Methodist University in Taos had a campus, and I started that journey of how to set it up. I was really fortunate. The campus coordinator, she used to do a music retreat, and she became my mentor and taught me how to do retreats on this campus, which was really great for me. Okay. So what we offer is 5 days in, of course, beautiful northern New Mexico. And Southern Methodist University has a campus in Taos. It's on 424 acres. It's a lovely site. Our program is a self-immersive learning experience. And by this, we mean there is no embarrassing, there's no shaming, there's no humiliating. If people have difficulties, That's why they're there, is to enhance their language, to improve their skills. 40 hours of real life language learning in small learning groups. We are immersive, as I've said. We are not grammar-based. We are not textbook-based, which means a lot of people avoid taking Spanish classes because they don't want to do the conjugation of verbs. They don't want to do the grammar, or yet you have others that just want grammar. But when you were a child, you didn't learn your first language by your mother opening up the grammar book and saying, no, you don't say was, it's were, or whatever language you were using. So this is what we call real life learning. We invite Spanish-speaking community guest speakers to come to our institute to present. They can be artists, musicians, ranchers, sequia mayordomos, poets, a variety of interesting people that the participants of the retreat get to interact with. We also do a lot of fun activities, and they include anywhere from music, dancing, films in Spanish. I think the one that's enjoyed most is Scrabble in Spanish, and it gets fierce at times. We offer a completion certificate, and the price of our institute includes sales tax and all meals included. The challenges that I have with my with the institute, or getting my business off the ground, and we just opened up. You know, we've been dormant for 2.5 years, and it's not easy. And my issue, I think, with marketing, getting the word out, and this is what I would like input and help with, is how do we get the word out? That we can do this in New Mexico. You don't have to travel somewhere else to do immersion. And price sensitivity, and coming out of the COVID cocoon. A lot of people are a little leery about that. And of course, we're going to follow the protocols that are necessary. It's a wide campus, like I said. So that's going to be one great advantage about this program. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Come on up. All right. Eric, I'm gonna let you handle chat. Let me know.
All right,
Pull it up
so
too.
my first, well, I have 2 questions actually. Do you have photos? Well, I see you have a photo here. Do you have more photos from your previous
Yes,
experiences?
I have a bunch of them.
Sweet. Are you on Facebook at all?
Yes, I am.
Okay, because I feel like if you did some like sharing of those photos and talking about past experiences, maybe doing like a small Facebook ad, you might get some more followers and more interest that way. Because I mean, it sounds great to me. I'm learning Spanish. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Come on up.
Hello,
Hello.
we're going to start today.
Okay.
Miriam Ortiz-Pino, more than organized, like you. Grew up in a family that half of them spoke Spanish and half of them were punished for speaking Spanish. So I have very little. But my question is mostly on, you said one of your challenges is price sensitivity. How do you know about that price sensitivity? I work a lot with people that on their money mindset. And everyone always says New Mexico can't handle those prices. And that's not true. It's about explaining the value. And I think Sonia's point about the pictures and what testimonials and that experience is going to blow that out of the water. Because I think you're not charging enough.
Thank you. Oh, I hope so. Well, actually, one of them was from a Facebook post. We did do a lot of Facebook advertising, and one person, and I know the person. And, you know, someone said, oh, this sounds great. And her response to the post was too expensive. And I've heard people say that. And so,
Are they your ideal client though? Do you know who your ideal client is?
oh, yes. Oh, yes. We offer, remember, we do Spanish immersion for second language learners and for heritage language learners. And so it all depends on economics of the individual's lifestyle too.
I think we should talk later because there's some other ideas, sponsorships, right? Situation.
I'm very interested in doing, eventually what I'm trying to get to is offer the summer sessions, because I get a lot of inquiries from teachers that want to have more Spanish. And so in that case, I have to look for, and I forgot the word, what you call them, people who sponsor.
Sponsorships, yeah.
Sponsorships.
Okay.
Cool.
Eric online, you have a question? Do you want to unmute yourself and ask it?
I'm wondering if she was on TikTok, because I know a lot of my awareness for my nonprofit, I got through TikTok, and it brought in a lot of people and it got the word out.
No, I'm not on TikTok. It sounds interesting, though. I might investigate that. Yes,
Okay.
thank you. Thank you for
You're
the
welcome.
suggestion.
Go ahead and introduce yourself before you ask your question.
Good morning, everyone. Adam Halpern, founder, CEO of Wave On. Great job.
Thank you.
As a fellow founder of a new idea, I have an idea plus kind of a challenge to the group. So what I have found is it's very easy to get advice.
Right.
This is what you should do. I have an idea. You should go do it, right? And then our to-do list just gets bigger. So as a fellow founder, and then my kids go to NMIS, right, which is a Spanish immersion school.
Okay.
This is appealing as a parent who has kids that are already in an immersive education program, that if I put on my active, I will help you hat. If you want an introduction to NMIS to create this type of program at an immersive school, they could maybe offer it to families in the summer as a family trip, right? As an immersive experience. And this is where you have to put your thinking cap on.
Right.
It could also be a fundraiser for the school. So you'd have to figure out, how does this work? You might get more participants, et cetera, et cetera. But that's the challenge to the group. It's easy to come up here and people give you advice, but if we don't have actionable activities afterwards,
Right.
after 1 million cups, we just go back with a new list of stuff to do on our shoulders, and it's very difficult. So if you want that
That sounds really
introduction,
good.
I'll be here. We'll talk
Okay.
afterwards. But I do think there's an opportunity to work with the schools that are already embedding Spanish in their lifestyle as a family. And you're bringing another level of
Yeah.
opportunity.
And
to
it would
them.
be the meshing of two methodologies.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah.
Love that idea.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Sue Halasny, why don't you unmute, ask your question?
Oh, good morning. And I'm sorry if you covered this, I might have missed it, but have you defined the demographic of your target audience? Are you going for a certain age group? You mentioned something about the ability to pay. So what's your sweet spot?
Well, what I find is that everyone needs to, well, let me back up there. I think it's really advisable for people to be bilingual. I believe in bilingualism, of course, but I think Spanish is spoken all over the United States. Every agency, every business you go to, you're going to run into Spanish somewhere. And so the age group can be anywhere from 30 to 80. I have a lot of retirees. I have people from all over the United States that have applied, which is really nice. But I do have to say right now, it's mostly adult retirees. The 30 to 50 group are coming in a little bit more. I think a couple of months ago, I had a in-person workshop and I had about 5 people that were between 30 and 50. And that was really good. So I think it's really open as far as the age of the population.
I only ask that because it's hard to be all things to all people. And if you can find a sweet spot to start and then spread out and then really understand why it is that they're coming to you.
The main reason they're coming to me, well, first of all, most of the retirees, they are traveling, they have the time. Mental acuity is a big issue for retirees, anyone over 60. And it's proven, the research is showing that having language, second language, learning a second language is healthy. And also some people say being bilingual, you're smarter. So there's a variety of reasons. I have a whole list that I can tell you as to what are the benefits of having that second language.
Can I say one more thing? That's really valid. Have you talked to anyone at Oasis?
No, I'm not.
That is a really good target for you in terms of the age group and all the things you just mentioned.
Oh, I'm not familiar with Oasis. Can you fill me in?
They offer courses. It's mostly for 55 and up. And it's everything from history to astrology to language. So it's whatever that audience wants to learn. And it's very broad and it's throughout Albuquerque for sure.
That's a very good idea because in our program, it's basically speaking and using the language. And we do special current events and we talk about history, culture, but we don't do specific just, how should I say, presentations on one theme. It's having, you know, you throw out topics of, well, what do you think of Roe versus Wade? And then you have a conversation. And to think in the second language, it takes a little bit more effort and it works. It works. Good morning. That's all
Hello,
right.
I'm Campbell.
Nice to meet you, Campbell.
Nice. I own Your Daily Studios here in Albuquerque. I actually had a question about the duration of
Okay.
your course and how you kind of came up with that, and if you think that's enough or not enough. You said 40 hours of real-time learning, and so just kind of interested in what can I expect to get out of that at the end of
Okay.
it, or what people generally.
Okay. Very good. Good question. Well, you're there for 5 days. So when we say 40 hours, that means that you're doing 8 hours for sure. And in the evenings, if the participants are staying on campus, then you're probably going to have a lot more because you're going to be practicing on your own time or with the group, of course. What are you going to get out of it? You're going to come out of it with a lot of confidence and pride that you are doing something different, new.
Do you have a baseline of, like, if someone comes into it, if they have a test or like a speaking test, and then at the end of it, so that there's clear studies?
Excellent question. I do a placement interview. So anyone that has not taken a class with me before, we do a Zoom chat. We get to know each other in English, and then I do questions in Spanish. We have a conversation in Spanish, and I'm able to determine what level they're at. Beginners, I have had one class of beginners. We haven't had a lot of applicants for beginners. It's usually intermediate and mid-intermediate, high, intermediate, advanced, so you can move along. And when you leave, you're feeling pretty good about it.
The reason I say is I think that's going to be a great marketing tool for you, is those customers' testimonials of saying, this is where I started, this is what I know now.
That's true.
And so I think that's a very valuable thing to reach back out to people that have already taken it, and to have them write something or film a quick video, take some pictures, and have real world case studies of what they started with and what they ended with.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
We do evaluations at the end that they give us feedback as to what they've learned and what they've done or how they feel. The video is a good idea. I've been thinking about that.
Great. All right.
Thank
Thanks so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Lori Kerr. I'm with Environmental Solutions. I love this. And partly it's sparking some thoughts for myself because this is one of my frustrations. Grew up in Southern California, now I live here. Took Spanish in college, was a major failure in that, although I'm good at languages, I can, get by when I'm traveling. But in terms of business, once someone goes and takes the immersion, is in there for a week for the immersion, is there any follow-up instruction with them?
A lot of them, I have students that started in 2016. I have one gentleman who's been taking classes with me 6 years.
And how do they take those classes?
During COVID, I was on Zoom.
Oh, great, okay.
And I taught 4 classes in 1 week. I overdid it a bit. I had a family of 3, a mother with 2 grown children, and I say 30 and a 28-year-old son, all the way from Anchorage, Alaska, that took my class. I have a lot of individuals who, can Zoom into class if I'm doing Zoom. Now I'm ready to do in person. but,
Sure. Yeah, I was just thinking, like, for someone like me, yes, I mean, I don't have I have Spanish speaking friends, but it would take a little effort for me to like regularly reach out to them to practice.
Right.
Right. So maybe that's another add-on package or something like, I don't know, like a weekly Zoom session, right? Where you can kind of practice, or if people have a specific, like, let's say they own a daycare center and they want to specifically practice language
With children.
for their business, right, related to their business. And the other question, anyway, so that was just one idea, as you know, an easy, you could do it on Zoom, you could do it in person if they're able, but kind of an add-on package, right? And then your immersion, is it family friendly? Could I have a 7-year-old daughter? Could I bring my daughter?
That we haven't gotten to yet,
Okay.
because, you know, it requires so much concentration, and it is really important that people are focused on what they're doing, each individual. And let me just suggest the follow-up.
Yeah.
Yes, if you take the immersion retreat, like here in Albuquerque, I do in person, so they can follow up by doing the in-person
Right.
classes here. Others, I'm trying to expand to have more immersion retreats throughout the year. But one of the things most people don't know is that you could do self-immersion. People don't realize this. So I have a method that I present to all individuals who are interested in learning another language. Is your own responsibility of a self-immersion approach is that, you know, you spend an hour to 2 hours a day listening the target language, the one you're trying to learn. You immerse yourself in all kinds of ways. There's music, there's all kinds of reading newspapers. There's a Spanish newspaper in every state in the country. There's Duolingo, there's BBC Mundo. I mean, it's all there.
Yeah.
So it is a dance. You come to the retreat, get some basics, you get used to it, then you have to get into it and decide, you know, how much you're going to put into it.
Okay, great. All right, and I should say, I'm Sonia Doing, CEO of Women's Stroller Riders Association. And I wanted to take it back to, well, first of all, I was really glad to hear that your interview starts in English. Though, like, oh
Yes.
no.
Yes.
But I want to take it back to the Facebook discussion,
Okay.
which is basically because you know your target market.
Mhm.
For this particular project, I would definitely suggest staying on Facebook just because that's an older demographic.
Right. Yes.
TikTok is really for the younger crowd. I love it for book talk, but I don't see it being like your best target market there. But yeah, so that's my suggestion. And I just wanted to say too, sometimes people don't realize how much work goes into an event. Because I know I run writers events, and someone commented on Facebook, why is it so expensive? I'm like, holy crap. And then so I explained to her, right, what happens. You know, this is all the things that happen during this event. She said, well, okay, I'm gonna sign up.
Yeah,
So,
when I started, I thought I'm doing a dream, I'm okay.
yeah,
I don't think I paid myself the first time around, you know?
yeah.
And I didn't realize this. Luckily, I have a wonderful daughter-in-law who keeps me on track here. And so I think that you're absolutely right in the sense that I started planning this one since March. Yeah. And, you know, it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. Right?
Well, okay, so I have 2 questions for you. Okay. Red or green?
Well, let's say I make the best red chili and each one of us, and green chili. Well, what can I say? Ready to peel my chili in a few weeks. Yeah.
Awesome. And so what can we as a community do for you?
Well, I think helping get the word out, that's really that people hear about it, hear this opportunity to immerse themselves in the language and to learn about the history and culture. I mean, I have to say, we do include a lot of the New Mexico history. And I do tell people, you live in New Mexico, hey, you're missing the opportunity. Learn the language, learn the history, learn the culture. It's fabulous. We all love it, but do we know it? Do we know about it? Do we understand it?
And what's your Facebook, your bilingual strategies?
Strategies.
All right, on
Mhm.
Facebook.
And Instagrams. Yeah.
Cool.
On both.
All right, thank you, Maria.
Thank you. I do have some bookmarkers for you. If you'd like them.
All right, and I was just curious for our visitors, have you guys tried red or green chili yet? That's,
Do they know what it is?
yes, okay, cool, right.
Tell
that's
the,
our-
tell the Zoom audience it's here too.
Oh, yeah, we have a huge, where are you guys, actually, if you want to come up and tell us who you guys are, someone wants to share, we got a big crowd here today.
Yes, yeah, right on the side. Oh, thank you so much for having us. My name is Eri Koshi. I'm actually starting my own company back in Japan. My company called Kote LLC and the co-founder. And I used to work for the UNM Rainforest Innovation for 12 years. And I moved back to Japan. And then we're running the entrepreneurship program. And we brought 60 students this time from Japan to learn about the real opportunity to do the business pitch and learn the entrepreneurship experience. So thank you so much for having us.
You're welcome, you're welcome. Thank you.
I think I can officially count them as 16 newbies.
Well, yeah.
Who else is new here for the first time? 17. How about online? Do I have any newbies online? 18, 19. Anybody else online new? All right, and the reason I asked this question is because I have, oh, Robert, you're new? I have to report this back to Kaufman, so that's always fun. And I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm new.
All right, Robert, welcome. I'm so excited that I get to report to Kaufman that there were over 60 people here today, in person and online. How many of you consider yourself entrepreneurs?
Yeah.
So my percentage will go down this week since we have so many newbies. We'll count that as 50. 50%. All right, so thank you. Yeah, now you know why. Maybe it's going to. Yeah. You want to try to send it to the 1 Million Cups address? Sorry,
Okay,
guys,
while they're-
online. We're just trying to get our next presenters.
I'll
Well,
just say,
they're,
I'm surprised at the number of donuts that's back there.
well, while they're setting up, I do want to explain that this is not a normal pitch session that you would see from an entrepreneur. 1 Million Cups is just a little different and where we want our presenters to be a little vulnerable and share their challenges. Whereas normally at a pitch, you're going to hear everybody say positive things about their business and how wonderful everything is. But here we're just a little different.
I don't know, Jack.
The other thing we can do is actually. Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, technology.
Let's see, yeah. Actually, we have a little bit roundable. We had somebody online. I don't have a list of events to share right this second, but Deborah had a speaking opportunity that I was wondering if she could just mention
Deborah
from
Blank.
Deborah
Sure.
Blank, if she could talk about that for a minute or so, and I'll try and make sure that I've got to run over here.
Deborah, go ahead and talk about your event.
Yeah, hi, thank you. Yeah, I'm with a group called Global Ties Albuquerque, and we are a subcontractor to the State Department in Washington, and we invite people from other countries to Albuquerque to study different topics. It's sort of like exchange people, only they're adults, and they come here to learn about water management, indigenous rights, lately about filmmaking, and these are people generally from third world countries. Well, we're having a conference on the 16th to the 18th of September, and one of the topics, and this is Sunday morning let me look at the time, 10:15. One of the topics is basically how to form a social enterprise, e.g. a nonprofit that seeks to change the world. And I imagine some of you maybe have nonprofits that are socially engaged. And we need somebody to talk about what motivated you and how you're doing and what makes for success, your challenges, etc. It'll be a group of about 40 people, and they are ex-Fulbright scholars who went overseas in an exchange program that the State Department sponsors. And they're now back. Most are in their first or second job, so they're young, 20s, early 30s. And some of them actually do want to start businesses. So I'm looking for somebody who feels comfortable talking to a group. And it's pretty important that you've done this yourself, or at least you really know the steps in starting a business, because I think some of them are going to be looking for very specific information. So if you have any interest in this, you can just message me here at the bottom, or my email is my last name blank .deborah@gmail.com. And I am looking to fill this because I had somebody and they had to pull out. So we're publicizing, and it would be great marketing for somebody. So thank you.
All right, so let's see, we still got a fair amount of time. I love it. The pressure's on, right?
Yes.
You know, it is almost like we're doing a pitch for some event, and I don't know why the heck I'm up. So what I'm going to do is I want to make a quick introduction, and then I'm going to go over and try and run his slides off of Jeff's laptop. But the one thing that I wanted to do in terms of just opening this up is, you know, there's a lot of very special things about New Mexico. And when I say that, sometimes it's a little tongue in cheek, but one of the really great programs that distinguishes New Mexico from other places around the country is it's this great access to both local leaders, but also to 3 federal labs and a couple of really good research universities. So one of the things that the labs, Los Alamos National Lab and San Diego National Labs have done in working with the state is to create a program called NMSBA. We're going to be learning about that. Well, it's really, really different from what you get around the country. You've got access to some of the best, you know, best minds in the world, some of the best talent, research, science to help your business grow. So it's a very special thing we've got here in New Mexico. Jeff's an expert in it. So I'm going to run over and try and get his slides up, and we'll have Jeff on in a second.
Thanks. Thank you, Eric. I am sorry that my slides are causing everybody problems, but hopefully we get that figured out. How's everybody doing today?
All right.
Good, good. Well, thanks for having me. As Eric mentioned, I'm Jeff Hall. I work with Los Alamos National Laboratories. However, our NMSBA program is actually a co-partnered program with San Diego National Laboratories. And it is unique. This is the only state in the United States that provides this type of program to small businesses. It's been around for 20 years. And we've had some pretty remarkable success, I would say. And I'll try to go into a little more details about that. I know I only have so much time. But essentially, the NMSBA program provides at no cost to a small business lab assistance. $20,000 if you're located in an urban, which in New Mexico, the urban counties are Santa Fe and Bernalillo. Any company outside of that operating gets up to $40,000 of assistance. That pays for a lab scientist, equipment, you know, all of that stuff. Next slide, please. And the reason why we have this program is because the state of New Mexico wants to leverage our unique position with the laboratories that I mentioned to you in order to encourage the entrepreneurship within the state and to really help support it and bolster the ecosystem. So here are a few things that benefits the business, but what I think is probably the most important is building the relationship with the technical expert at the lab. And you know, I was talking to Eric earlier, and he wanted me to mention this point, is it can be for anything and everything. You don't have to be working on nuclear research in order to take advantage of this program. We work with people who make cookies, was working with this dental hygienist. We have farmers, ranchers, any and every type of organization. And obviously we do work with the nuclear people and the people building peptides on RNA structures, different things like that. Next slide. So just so you understand how the process works, if you are a small business, you have a CRS number, you don't necessarily even have to be paying taxes to the state of New Mexico, but you're might be going to pay taxes. If you go to our website, NMSBAprogram.com, or excuse me, .org, you'll see this little button up here. That's to submit a request. When you click that button, it's one page. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, what your company is like, what kind of project you're looking to do with this. Within the next week or so, a project manager from the labs me in particular, or one of my cohorts, will give you a call. And then we'll do an intake interview. And then this is really where it becomes the most challenging, I think. And a lot of times there's this misconception that like you should already know a scientist at the lab before you ever apply for this. And that's not true at all. I am the one that will help you find the lab scientist. I'm the one that will help you define that project scope and the timeline, get the funding, all of that. And then be a matchmaker between you and the scientist. So this way, you know, I really need to understand what the project is so I can make sure that the scientist knows what that project is. And then, yeah, after we identify that, we just put it in writing and it's off to the races. Once we sign that agreement, it typically happens within 120 days are completed. And then there's a few different types of projects. Next slide. I'm going to try to speed up. I know I might be going over time, but there's an individual project, which is the most common project. Again, this is one company, for instance, Parting Stone. I don't know if you guys have heard of them. They took advantage and we actually helped them come up with a process that allows them to turn those remains into stones. Because of their work with LANL, they were able to get a lot of seed funding. In 2018, I think they won Santa Fe's BizMex, like $150,000 fund. And a lot of companies use us for that, on top of building relationships within the community and the ecosystem. Next slide. Now, here's something I'm going to spend a little more time on because a leverage project is exactly like an individual project, but it's where it costs more than $40,000 for you to get whatever you want. For instance, there's this example here, but I think one that's a little more relatable. So we have a kombucha company. They want to try out a new strain of fruit in their kombucha. They think that it's going to help your mouth biome and your gut biome. Well, we can definitely tell that company, yes, it helps your mouth biome. This is what it affects. But we can also tell them specifically what bacteria are in the mouth biome versus what is affected in the gut biome, down to the genomic sequence. But that's more expensive. That costs a lot. So for a leverage project, you can have up to $120,000 of funding. And this is for an entire calendar year, but the only catch is that it has to be you and another company that apply for this fund. The individual project is non-competitive. Basically, if you have a good idea and I can find a scientist for you, you'll get the funding. This is competitive. You have to present. And right now we have an open call. So it went open about 2 weeks ago for people to submit proposals for a leverage project. So if you or a few of your friends have a similar problem that you have in mind, and just so you know, there's a couple examples that I've had people use in the past, doing like a wind analysis of their ranch properties in order to understand how much wind energy they have, or an irradiance observation. Can be anything. Like I said, you just have to think about it and then have a partner work with you and present at the labs. And again, final submission for those are September 14th. So if you guys have any questions, I'll give you my contact information afterwards. Next slide, please. Now, there are contract projects. So as Eric mentioned, not only do we work with the labs, we work with a bunch of different universities and partners throughout New Mexico. So for instance, Navajo Spirit, they were creating clothing, right? And they had a bunch of excess clothing every time they were cutting their straws, all of this excess. So we worked with one of our partners, New Mexico Manufacturing Extension Partnership, that actually helped them with a value stream mapping that saved them so much money and increased their profits drastically. I want to say it's 28% or something. Next slide. But New Mexico MEP is not our only partner. We have a few different partners, which this big line right here is kind of blocking that. I'll work on the formatting next time. So good to know. So we also have the University of New Mexico. We have NMSU and New Mexico Tech. They're our partners as well. And yeah, they provide different services. But again, it's the exact same process. You don't need to go find somebody at NMSU that's going to do this work. You just apply. I'll call you and be like, hey, what do you want to do? You say, I want to do this. I'm like, I don't know if the labs can help you with that, but maybe one of our partners. And then we take it from there. Okay. Next slide, please. Now, if you guys have any questions, this is my contact information. It's not my personal cell phone, it's my work cell phone, so I only answer at 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. But feel free to reach out to me, email me. Even if you have questions, you're hesitant to apply, let me know. Next slide, and I think that's it. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, I guess now's the time, or
Yeah, if
only
you have a few
after.
questions, that'd be great. Actually, I'm gonna go back to your, there's a lot of information here.
Sure, these are like
It's
qualifications.
impossible for me to read. So I'm gonna keep your contact information up there, but yeah, folks have a few questions for Jeff. I encourage you to ask those now. I'll kind of check back in the chat and see if we've got some stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, any questions?
I'm 6'9", I'll get that out of the way.
So let's say, I'm searching for a question here. I'm not sure if it's gonna work out. If someone, they know of another company and they're thinking, you know what, this is an excellent opportunity. How do I get them to I wonder what's the hook? I mean, it seems like there's so many good hooks here. So let me put it entirely different. Let me put it in the frame of 1 Million Cups. First of all, red or green?
Christmas.
Excellent choice. Let's see. And the other question is, you know what, given that the folks in this room aren't necessarily your client, what is it that they can do to help you get the word out? What we're planning to do is I'll put the link and some more information. Can I share the slide deck?
Oh,
Which
yeah.
I finally received, by the way. You know,
Oh,
since I went
yay.
but I can link to that, and I'll send a follow-up email through the 1 Million Cups channel and also through Meetup. Are there things we can ask folks to do to get that information?
Well, I'll start off by, I guess, shooting down your first statement there. All of you are the customers. And I think that that's what's key here, is that when we asked how many of you are entrepreneurs, a bunch of people raised their hand. There is room in this program for you. I think that the problem is too many people aren't taking advantage of the program. Right now, there's $2.4 million that are available year after year that the state of New Mexico provides as a tax credit to the labs. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it is absolutely free. You just have to want to use it for whatever you would want it for. You know, we've helped offices restructure how they're printing paper in order to save time. Saving time saves money, right? So yeah, I would say like the first thing is to dispel this myth that in order for me to work with the labs, I have to be a technology-based organization. I think that the second part is that it's money left on the table. If you think of yourself as an entrepreneur, as a person that takes advantage of opportunities, this is $20,000 to $40,000 of opportunity that year after year you are leaving on the table. So that's the hook, I would say, if you're an entrepreneur.
It's just 20, 40, 120K, sorry.
Just start it out there. I mean, that sounds like a lot of money to me, but it might not be to most people. So yeah, no judgment. Maybe a little. So anyways, yes, I think that's an excellent question. I think that the number one priority is to really think about like, what could I benefit? What could my ecosystem benefit? What could my friends or the people that I know about benefit from utilizing this? And then at the very least, it's immersing yourself in an opportunity that you may not have known.
Alan, go ahead and ask your question.
It's actually not exactly for my business, but a business I'm helping a friend with. If the business was just started, is kind of still an idea, does the business need to be established?
It does not need to be established in the sense that you need to have filed for like an LLC or C Corp or something with the state of New Mexico. But I think that's like a 10-minute online application with $40 maybe.
That's a lower bar than presenting at Million Cups.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, you don't have to have any revenue stream. You can completely just have a concept. I mean, technically, I think that sole proprietors could apply for this as well. But I think we stray away from that. We want you to at least, know what your business is about. I don't want to work too.
Proprietors have been in business for 23 years.
Right. No, like I said, I think that they're qualified. If a sole proprietor came to me and they'd been in business for 23 years, I'd probably qualify them. Yeah. But if it's like somebody who's just like, I want to start a business, I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't the first step.
John has a question or a comment.
Yeah, we've got one of the core team from the very start of 1 Million Cups.
Hi, and so not so much a question, but just as a endorsement of the program. I've been working, our company's been working with NMSBA through Sandia for actually a few years now with the company. And as you were mentioning, you can have several companies together go in and there's also, if you want to get an idea of the types of companies, Sandia just put out their annual report for 2021. If you just Google Sandia NMSBA annual report 2021, and I've also got a copy on the desk if you're interested in looking at a hard copy, but they highlight some of the companies, and so you can get an idea. They're all different, manufacturing. Ours is a medical device startup that we're working on. Build with Robots is one of the highlighted companies. So it's really amazing. The team has been great to work with, the engineering team at Sandia. I'm sure the experience is the same at LANL. And it's, they have access to the type of tools and equipment you can possibly afford when you're starting your company, let alone the engineering skills and experience that the team has. So highly recommended. I mean, that's well worth it doesn't take that much energy to actually do it. And if you get accepted, it's well worth the energy. You only have to have a meeting every so often. I mean, it's not that much of a time suck, but the outcome that you get from it, you couldn't really possibly do on your own types. For example, we're testing some different sensors and things that this team has vast experience in, and we're really just kind of learning the details of it. And so they've just ramped us up dramatically in our knowledge level, skill level, the ability to understand what's going on in kind of that world and get experience from. So highly recommend it.
Thank you.
Yes, I would take it.
Yeah.
Unless there's any other questions.
I see one in the audience. And what she's coming up, I will also say, the scientists at the labs want to be a part of this program. I think that's what's key is so many times they're just working on a project that they'll never really know what their work is contributing to, or really how it's going to affect this project. And yet in this, they can see the direct impact of the company and they love doing that. So, sorry.
Hi, everybody. My name is Candace and I'm with the New Mexico Education Channel. And I am actually wondering, because I noticed on there that they need to be a for-profit business. So I'm actually wondering why it can't be a nonprofit, because I feel like you're really closing yourself off to some really awesome opportunities that I could.
Yeah, that's, I think, a question for the state of New Mexico.
Exactly.
And call.
Yeah, I think that the opportunity is that they really want to increase for-profit entrepreneurship within the community. And I do recognize that there's a lot of nonprofit opportunity out there that could really benefit from lab assistance on all of these various platforms. I think in order for us to really branch out and do that, we really need to focus on having a successful for-profit community first. And then we can branch out and see if we can expand the service.
Okay, thank you.
And it might also be an opportunity for partnership. Might also be an opportunity for partnership. I can tell you that's difficult.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, yeah. Eric knows everything. So any other questions? No? Thank you guys so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming down.
I'll just, so thank you very much. I'll just, we're exactly on it. So I just want to say thank you to our presenters today. I love that we're handing out the mugs again. That's fantastic. The mugs are really, really special. Thanks so much for joining us today, spending your time with us and other entrepreneurs here this morning. We really appreciate it. We hope you'll take this and, take it on through the rest of the week. And, thank you for your participation. And we hope to see you again next week here at 1 Million Cups. Thank you.